The hottest, the fastest, the quickest, the sportiest. This is here the pinnacle of Volkswagen GTI, the new VW Golf GTI Edition 50, a special model with the highest horsepower spec so far. Also the most expensive series or works GTI so far, later to that more. And we also have a very special treat for you, rain racing. How cooler can it be? Very exciting. How does it drive? How good is it? And does it still make sense to go for this one instead of a Golf R then with all-wheel drive? We're going to find out. It's Thomas Nautigefühl in 4K, full screen, full length. Let's go here with the GTI front badge, then the red stripe here, of course, with the tornado red. You do not see the contrast. If you would have a different color, like there's a new moss green, for example, available, or in the white color especially, then you would see more of these red contrasts. But the tornado red here itself is a very striking, really screaming out red color. I think that's how it's supposed to be. The connecting light strip is underneath that. Here from the headlamp unit, matrix LED is then standard here, and in the middle part the illuminated VW logo that looks even more striking at night. Then a large contrasting lower bumper in black. And this model here, the most special thing is that it has an even sportier setup. And when you then use a performance package for 4,200 euros extra, you get a lot of features included, and then it's even sportier, 5 millimeters lower. DCC, the dynamic chassis control, the adaptive suspension is standard, and in this performance pack you also get the forged wheels, 19-inch. Different stylings are available here, also in black, red, so two color scheme, pretty cool. And then here also the sportier brakes, red GTI brake calipers. By the way, here also nice here, these GTI wheel caps. You can also turn them like this. The reason is here, when it's stationary then it always stays upright like this. Black contrast in the lower part, some wrapping right here. Typical Golf styling with a large C-pillar. And in the front, the inclination is also a little bit changed than if you get the performance pack together with the Akrapovic titanium exhaust. You can see here these massive rear exhaust tips here, also with the holes inside and so on. We're soon going to listen to the sound. Top spoiler right here, and darkened out VW logo and the large GTI lettering. And we are here inside the box today, inside the pit lane, because it's raining so heavily outside, so we can say at least somewhat dry. And also very modern tail lamp signature here, also with these segmentations on the inside. So there is the normal GTI, then there is the GTI Club Sport, and this one here is above the Club Sport in the sportiness. This one here now at 325 horsepower. That means 60 horsepower more than the normal GTI and 25 horsepower more than the Club Sport. And this one's also better than the acceleration at 5.3 seconds, means 0.3 seconds quicker than the Club Sport and 0.6 seconds quicker in the acceleration than the normal GTI. From the 2-liter 4-cylinder turbo engine, you can see it right here, and yeah, here in this case then 325 horsepower. Front differential lock, of course, that you can get out of the corners, although it is only front-wheel drive. And you can see here also nice covering underneath the hood, and this also seems then properly painted underneath the hood as well. Yeah, also something you need to point out these days. But now the big question is, of course, would you maybe go for a Golf R, which has then the all-wheel drive, and meanwhile also in this Golf A generation, the torque distribution at the rear axle that you can get easier out of the corners? On the one hand, yes, and also for everyday driving use. However, if you want to be the fastest on the racetrack, so if a professional race driver from VW uses this here, the Golf GTI Edition 50, against the Golf R, 6 seconds quicker on the Nürburgring Nordschleife. And that is impressive. Why is that? Lower weight, especially here with the performance pack, then you save about 25 kilograms. And because of the lower weight, you can later brake and then also keep a better corner speed actually. So that's a very interesting thing. But for everyday driving life, it might still be a thing to consider, maybe the Golf R. But of course, we'll drive this one here very soon, check out the interior features, nice interior features to come up, and later then talk about the pricing. Now to the interior, yeah, with the standard high gloss key fob, just that it has the GTI 50 badge at least as well. Then classic door handles, that's what we like, and really solid. Then door closing sound. Yes, solid also as expected for a Golf. Then it's also illuminated here, by the way. These door handles here, you can see it right there. Some light in there. You can also find where to grab. Then here the top part is also soft. Then microfiber inserts for this one. A little bit soft leather red here for the elbows. Classic controls for windows and the side mirrors. And then here fabric at the inside of the doors. Also appreciate that. GTI 50 entry sill badge, and also the floor mats have the red contrast stitching, and as right. It's a good point from here. Here these red accentuations also on the pedals, and the floor mats also have the special badge next to the badge on the steering wheel, and red contrast stitches on the inside. This is the optional microfiber steering wheel. It's one of the least expensive options, and I think it's really cool. Feels great, and it's also a thing to make the whole car animal-free on the interior. And real buttons at the steering wheel. Appreciate that. Here, left side for the cruise control, right side, for example, to activate also the heated steering wheel, and you don't have it that you just by mistake press some buttons, because you really have to press them. Darkened out the VW logo also in the center part for this whole scheme. Then the special Clark pattern fabric seats. So yeah, fabric on the inside, and in the top part you also have some microfiber, and here also here with this laser engraving right there, pretty cool. And you have the retro style. At the same time you have a modern sport seat also with modern comfort. And indeed it's very comfortable here in this seat. So it's a sporty seat, at the same time good shoulder support and good comfort also in the lower area. Headroom here 189 602, no problem. There's also a sunroof available, which you can actually still open, and steering wheel command here, up and down, in and out, good control, also feels really solid, and I really love that microfiber steering wheel. You have also shifting pedals here for this 7-speed DSG, the dual clutch transmission, which is also standard for this vehicle. Yeah, but definitely the seats are a highlight, and also here these red seat belts as a contrast, that's also cool. Isofix also already at the front seats, if that's important then to you. Then let's also bring everything to life right here. You have here the GTI animation, Harman Kardon sound system is also another option in here for this vehicle. In this case you have these decor elements here in the silver style. Then you have the ambient lighting at the moment set to red. Also somewhat soft touch for the dashboard, so actually a likable build quality. The only thing here in this Golf generation, to me, I feel it's a little bit too much touch, for example, for the climate control. VW is going backwards in that one. The all new ID models, for example, will feature physical dials for the AC again, and just too much high gloss black, especially here in this middle console area. You have this silver contrast here, but there is a lot of high gloss black in the front part. By the way, here inductive charging pad underneath, also ventilated, but it's also like tiny, the space underneath there. 2 USB-C chargers below that, and also when I want to change the driving mode, here I have to click this capacitive BS button here, and then I change the driving mode right there. There is no possibility to change the driving mode on the steering wheel. The DCC is highly configurable. I can soon show that to you in the screen here. However, you still have these sliders here for the climate control, at least, although, you know, no one has ever been a big fan of these sliders yet. And then here, cup holder, you have also one here, but it's not, let's see, keeping the bottles that tight. And then soft for your elbow, underneath some more space, also with a fabric background, and you really feel at home here. It's quite cozy. Then with the microfiber at the same time you have a racing atmosphere. That's actually pretty cool. Small nice detail here, you can see it in the dark, especially this pulsing start stop button signalizing a heartbeat wanting to start up the vehicle. Driver POV once again here with the microfiber steering wheel. It's also heated in 3 levels, by the way. Then the digital instruments right there. You can also change the view. My favorite view is of course here the central view with the big RPM meter. That's pretty cool. Then you also have here the box for the head-up display. Head-up display is an option. Main infotainment unit, as I said, with the temperature sliders. This is the main menu here. You can also slide it here left and right. What's cool is that you can deactivate the EU speed chime law here on the top very quickly. You can set this hotkey. You can also set favorites here to more assistance system that you can easily deactivate that actually.
And that's, by the way, the temperature in Spain.
That's the temperature in Spain, in Barcelona.
Freezing. And best greetings from me. Behind the camera, freezing.
And test of the Harman Kardon sound system. It's actually a pretty good sound. The only thing usually what I would do is when I'm here in the focus mode, usually I put everything on surround, but this sounds a little bit thin from the rear area then, so I would just make the surround of like half or maybe like this. Then it's actually sounding pretty nice. Yeah, and then the CarPlay integration also works very well, uses all the screen. Now to the rear seats, hard pack on the top part, at least some ambient lighting integration and the microfiber inserts as well, and also fabric inserts at the inside of the door here in the rear, so that's actually quite cool. Yeah, way more expensive premium cars often do not have that. Then you also have this somewhat single seat setup here for the rear seats, so that's a nice design, isofix outside each and the Clark pattern. And also the Clark pattern here, and this is a nice detail that they made it here for this, for this hanger here. So actually quite cool. And then, yeah, the capos are not really adaptive, but the solid build quality as well. Also, when you fold down stuff here, like the ski hatch and so on, and you sit actually quite comfortable also in the rear. The only limit is that this is the short wheelbase MQB form. So for example, a Leon or an Octavia, the siblings have the longer wheelbase, or also if you go for the Golf variant, that one also has a longer wheelbase. Here the hatch, short wheelbase, agile in the driving, but then of course the limitation here if you have tall drivers in the front. Headroom, however, is still okay, but the comfort itself from the seats, that one is actually quite okay. Yeah, just the limit that it doesn't have so much legroom. Now the trunk or the boot here, flipping the VW logo, which is also darkened out. And this is also where the rear view camera is hidden. So it's also protected against dust and rain and everything. And there's also then the opening mechanism, 370 liters. And I left the setup we have here today with Leah and I, just to show you what is all fitting here in this trunk. Let's now measure the stuff. So here we have a meter of 40 inches in width. The length is about 30 inches or 77 centimeters. And for the height, we have to remove this one here, the cover. There we go. So easily done. And then we have here the height at 27 inches or 68 centimeters. Underneath here, by the way, is the subwoofer. So of course also good to have the sound system, and you can remove this whole thing. You can also put it in the lower position, then you have even more height. So here now at 31 inches or has almost 80 centimeters, and when it's removed here, this cover, you can also easily fold the seats from here. And then you have a total length to the front seats as we are driving of 1 meters and 47 or 58 inches. Woo! Welcome to the street, the road driving part of the VW Golf GTI Edition 50. Woo! And the water is splashing, and we can definitely soon answer the question if the semi-slicks are also doing any good in the rain. And whereas it is always a challenge for us to film in the rain, it's actually a good test, because there are of course a lot of countries where it does rain a lot, and this is also a good test here when you're here at the gas station and they always have this stuff on the road here, that the potential spilling fuel doesn't run all over the place. And there you already feel that the suspension is way stiffer here than even in the normal Golf GTI. And I have set everything to comfort now. So what I've done here so far is I've built myself a, let's say, fun rain mode. So where I've set most of the stuff to comfort, but I put up the sound exterior and interior. You have like a nice sound experience here on the interior nevertheless. And then we can show you some behaviors here in normal driving. I mean, we can still accelerate onto the motorway. There's no problem actually. From 60, let's go. Okay, yeah. You do feel the semi-slicks. Let's take it that way. So it's not recommended to go full throttle in these conditions. You maybe all heard it, you know, like this stamping on the ground. Stempeln, we say in German, which is stamping, you know, like pop, 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 pop. But the ESC, if you leave it all in, is doing fine, you know, and it's front wheel drive only. So that's at least a good thing then here about this one, that it's still relatively safe because the rear cannot really break out when you accelerate too hard. Understeering is, of course, rather the thing than here with front wheel drive vehicles. So, I mean, they're still doing fine, but of course you gotta be a little bit more gentle than here in these conditions. What I really love here is the microfiber steering wheel. That's awesome, great grip. It also feels really cozy on a colder and rainy day like this. And the car just feels so neutral and balanced. That's the awesome thing. So the stiffer setup you do feel when you're running over some potholes and so on. When you're here on the motorway, it's actually fairly comfortable. It's also not too loud here on the motorway, although we have these rainy conditions. It's more like the raindrops on the front windshield. They are, of course, more silent vehicles, but in this compact segment here, the Golf is already quite good. And for a normal compact hatch, I think the seats are also doing a good job, and they also house you in quite well, so they don't fly around even if you drive a little bit more agile. Once again, super, super balanced, this feeling you have in this vehicle. The microfiber steering wheel is probably the first option I would go for. It just looks great visually, great in the grip, and also really enhances the driving fun right here. The steering is also surprisingly heavy for a modern car, so they also set this that you have more of a traditional racing feeling. Although I have set the steering here at this moment to even like a softer note. You can set it even stiffer if you like. But that's also something that they really paid attention to, that this one here feels more authentic, actually. So that's pretty cool, because that's what the special, the edition 50 is about, that it's like a step over the Club Sport in the sporty sense, and that's working very well. Also here with the nice GTI gauges, like to have the speed and the central instruments really central, that you can very well see that. I have also the G meter next to it, that you can see what G-forces are going on here. Yeah, and of course here the red seat belt, which is also a very nice contrast. So once again, the GTI has always been about, yeah, it's a little bit racier than the normal Golf, but at the same time it is suitable for everyday driving life. And this still also counts here for the edition 50. Yes, with the 19-inch wheels and then the pothole thing, you do feel that. But normal waves in the road or when something is uneven, it's actually also fine. I would actually also leave the suspension rather in the soft mode. You know that even the Nürburgring special mode, the Nordschleife special mode, even that one has the DCC all the way to the soft side, because the Nürburgring Nordschleife has these topography changes in the racetrack. And that's why it's better to react to that, and you can drive better and score faster lap times when you let the suspension work a little bit instead of making everything just stiff. That's also a very interesting thing. Yeah, and again, if you wonder why would you still go for the GTI and not for the Golf R? Well, if you're a Racetrack fan, this one here is 6 seconds faster driven by a professional than the Golf R on the Nürburgring Nordschleife, which is really impressive. And the reason is that this one here is faster in cornering. You can brake later because the weight is lower. However, if you now think about conditions like these, then all-wheel drive, of course, in a way makes sense, especially if then it also gets, let's say, a little bit icy on top of that, for example. So the thought is still there. Might you rather want to go for the Golf R instead for the GTI? But I can say definitely here, from these worst of a kind conditions, it still feels very well balanced. It feels really cool to drive. And even on a day where you might say, I won't enjoy driving, you can still enjoy the drive very much, because this is very engaging. It is this normal compact hatch on the one hand, but still such an engaging and fun drive. And some normal road driving. You see the conditions just got worse, but still, once again, a very good test. Here the tarmac is pretty rough, is good for the grip, and then here in this case, when it's wet and so on. And once again, here, this really direct steering. I love that. So even the comfort mode is a perfect setting, whereas nowadays in most vehicles, I would always set it to the sportiest level for the steering feeling, but here, indeed, not necessary at all. Here now, yeah, there's some stamping on the road. I mean, it's in always when you have so much power on the front wheels, but with the semi-stick even a little bit more. Still, considering they still handle very well, you know, also when you go left and right and so on. And yeah, once again, also when you drive slower, like this here, it just gives you such a great, like, central feeling. Like, you really feel you're in the center of the vehicle and everything is balanced basically around your body. So this is actually the most special feeling this car is giving you. So that's pretty cool. So I just love driving these B roads then here with this vehicle. It's always fun. Yeah, of course, when it gets bumpy, then it also gets rougher. That's a pill you have to swallow. But if you want, like the sport edition here of the Golf, then it's also exactly what you want. That you more feel something, what's happening underneath you, and that's really cool. Here also this speed hump. Yeah, that's tough. They are really tough then on you. Yeah. So if you have a lot of destroyed roads close by your home or something, then that might be a hindrance. But still, it's so much fun driving this one. Is this special edition worth to go for? I mean, the performance pack is good in the price-performance ratio. Let's take it that way. I would look at good leasing prices to see which exact Golf version you are going for. Yeah, now Leah is after these speed humps here, she's done basically. But yeah, so yeah, which version to go for? I would really make it rather depend on the good leasing offers you get. That is actually the more important pick than as for a conscience price decision, so to speak. But here, yeah, the driving fun is just unparalleled. So great in the driving fun, and I'm totally in love with the microfiber steering wheel here, definitely. And we also have a very special treat for you: rain racing. How cooler can it be? Very exciting. We're here in the Castelló Racetrack, also close to Barcelona, and they don't have any special drainage systems here. That means we have here, there we go, this like really rivers flying across the track. And we have semi-slicks mounted here, which are neither suitable for rain racing nor suitable for freezing temperatures. We are almost at freezing temperature point here, 3 degrees Celsius. And yeah, but still, it's handling very well. Nice sound. We also have, of course, some sound boost on the inside. We won't drive like at full speed today, but I can really say, I mean, considering these tires here have the best temperature at 40 or 50 degrees, tire temperature, not outside temperature then. But I mean, here they are probably just a little bit warmer than the outside temperature because it's so wet and so cold here at this moment. Very unexpected in this region here. And still, these are probably, and also all the racing drivers today, they told me that they felt that these Bridgestone semi-sticks here are the best performing here so far as for the semi-sticks in these conditions. Still, of course, when you're driving on the road, yeah, in these winter temperatures and in these conditions, definitely pick normal winter tires than on the 18-inch wheels. But that's the ones we have on this car mounted here today, and so we can show you the best that is possible and still have a lot of fun with a nice sound, good acceleration, and it also shows once again how well the car is in handling. Great grip here on the microfiber steering wheel. Now again, rivers flowing across the racetrack. And we've been here with the RS3 and the RSQ8 and drove it also full throttle here on this counter straight. Yeah, you maybe felt that also and heard that. There was another river across the road, kind of cancelling our acceleration. In this case, it's also more wise not to hit it full throttle because then we would just have the stamping on the road indeed. And so we gotta be very gentle. Yeah, you maybe remember the great days of Michael Schumacher, where he was also the rain king, rain racing king. Yeah, we really hope so much that we can see him once again one day, maybe, like, yeah, when there's like progress and medicine and so ever. No one really knows what's going on, but of course that should also be kept then to the family. But we wish him, of course, all the best and hope to see him back again one day, really crossing fingers. Yeah, but back here to our racetrack and the Golf. I can really enjoy racing here, although it's these temperatures and also these raining conditions. It's of course very spectacular to see, and I gotta tell you that these professional race drivers, when they drive the rain races, huge kudos and huge respect, because it's really, really sketchy. You gotta be on your toes, gotta be on your A game. Here's again the big river on the road, so we gotta be really careful here that the car is not breaking out there at all. Yeah, but I'm really astonished once again of the tire performance. And the car is once again very well balanced. In front of us there is the big internal competitor, by the way, the Golf R as the variant. We're here with the hatch and the GTI. There we go. So you have the sound from the titanium exhaust from the Akrapovic, which is pretty decent, I feel. At the same time, oh wow, you really lose ground contact here going over these rivers. Yeah, but then you also have this sound enhancing, but you can also tune that down. So really depending on what you like, but it's also not exaggerated at all. I think it's a good noise feedback you get on the inside. You also see that Leah is relaxing at the moment in the pits because she didn't feel like going out with me in these conditions. Can't blame her for that. Still, I'm enjoying, I'm having a lot of fun, and really speaks once again for the handling of this vehicle. So, whoa, super sketchy here. But I mean, sometimes you gotta face the challenge. But it's good that, you know, on the public roads I was really, really defensive in the driving and played it safe. So we can play it out a little bit more here for you. And we can still show you some performance shots, although we have these conditions here. So, because when I'm, you know, drifting out here or something like that, yeah, the only one I'm hurting is myself, no one else. So there we go. But still, very good ride. Whoa, that's really it's like almost swimming on the road. Yeah, but that's really the thing. Usually they don't have so much rain here, and then it's maybe gone. The sun dries it out. That's why they also didn't pay too much attention to drainage system here. Would be different on a racetrack in Germany or something like that. But this is a really fun racetrack. I love it. And if you really like seeing this racetrack here and all these shots, I can really recommend checking out our RS3 or RSQ8 video, because there we have it in dry conditions and could really race it very well. That was pretty amazing. But nevertheless, such a cool and fun experience, and once again speaks for this great handling of this vehicle here. And now about the pricing. Whereas a normal standard GTI, naked GTI so to speak, starts at 46,000 euros, this one here is already at 54,000 euros. The performance pack, also spec'd in this vehicle, over 4,000 euros. But if you then add some more extras like a maybe panoramic roof, the microfiber steering wheel, which is the least expensive option, but I mean, color choices, some more other wheel choices and so on, you can even spec this vehicle, as it stands here now, to 64,000 euros. So over 60,000 euros for a VW Golf. That's a little bit insane, definitely, is it? Yeah. But you also have to look at the leasing rates, how they play out then later on. However, if you compare the VW Golf R standard, this one is the edition 50, against the standard Golf R, just 1,000 euros difference. But this one also includes a lot of stuff. If you then compare a similar spec GTI edition 50 to a similar spec Golf R, then the Golf R is 7,000 euros more expensive, even exceeding the 70,000 euro limit. Absolutely crazy, yes. Yeah, but at the end of the day, for example, in leasing strong markets like Germany, it will really depend on the leasing price. So there will still be a price gap between this one here and the Golf R. It's more a thing of, do you really want the GTI badge and more the lighter weight experience and maybe the track focus? Do you want the GTI badge? Are you a GTI fan? Or do you rather want to profit then from the overdrive from the Golf R?